Let's just jump right into this explainer. We're going to cut straight through the hype and look at what it actually costs to own an electric vehicle right now. There is so much noise out there about going electric, but today we're relying strictly on the data so you can make the absolute best decision for your driveway.
Think of today as building your own personalized decision tree. We're going to walk through the true cost of EVs, look at the best and worst states to own one, unpack the public charging trap, dive into the insurance premium penalty, and then wrap it all up with a final verdict. All right, Section 1, the true cost of EVs, demystifying the financial reality. Let's see how the overarching financial balance sheet actually shakes out between gas and electric.
So here's the crucial point right out of the gate. When you look at the total cost of ownership, the data shows EVs generally save drivers anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a year compared to traditional gas-powered cars. I mean, that is a substantial chunk of change. But to really understand exactly where those savings are coming from, we've got to break down the actual timeline of EV ownership.
It's basically a tug of war between upfront costs and long-term upkeep. Traditional gas cars usually give you a lower upfront purchase price, averaging somewhere between $33 and $49 grand, but they demand way more routine maintenance over their lifespan. On the flip side, EVs generally ask you to stomach a premium upfront. You're looking at an average of $6,000 more than a comparable gas car. But here's the secret. That initial hit is often completely erased within just a few years. Why? Because EV routine maintenance is literally 30 to 50% cheaper. Think about it. There are no oil changes, no spark plugs, no timing belts to replace. Plus, regenerative braking takes a massive load off your mechanical brakes, meaning those brake pads can easily last twice as long. It's a totally different ballgame. Okay, moving on to Section 2, best and worst states, where your zip code dictates your costs. Those macro savings look great on paper, sure, but what if the biggest factor in your EV experience isn't actually the car itself, but where you park it at night?
This perfectly illustrates the massive divide we're seeing across the country. An EV's financial viability essentially boils down to home charging costs, public network density, and state-level parks. Just look at the extremes on this list. Tier 1 states like Colorado offer incredible incentives. We're talking up to $9,750 in state credits heavily subsidizing your purchase. But then look at Hawaii down at the bottom. It might be an absolute paradise for a vacation, but it is a financial nightmare for an EV. Electricity there costs an astronomical 42.5 cents per kilowatt hour. It just goes to show your geographical location completely rewrites the financial rulebook.
So if you're evaluating a move or even just planning a cross-country road trip, you have to keep these stark contrasts in mind. Places like California make driving electric wonderfully seamless, boasting a staggering network of over 100,000 public ports. Washington State is another massive win, with dirt-cheap electricity at just over 12 cents per kilowatt hour. But venture into Mississippi, and you hit an absolute infrastructure desert, literally just 1.7 charging ports for every 10,000 cars. Oh, and over in Texas, you're going to get hit with a hefty $451 registration fee right out of the gate just for showing up. All right, let's assume your state gets a green light. Section 3, the public charging trap. Because where you charge matters, and exactly how you juice up your car completely dictates your financial outcome. Now, electricity is generally a much cheaper and far more stable energy source than gasoline. If you're an average driver clocking 12,000 miles a year and you have the luxury of charging at home, you're paying roughly 4 to 6 cents a mile. That totals a highly manageable $550 to $700 annually. Now compare that to the wild volatility of running a standard gas car, which runs you roughly 10 to 15 cents per mile. That puts you anywhere from $1,300 to well over $2,400 every single year. A home charging setup massively and predictably beats gas costs. So you're enjoying all those massive financial benefits while comfortably plugged in at your house. But we have to ask the absolutely critical question here. What happens to those savings if you can't charge at home? Like, what if you live in an apartment and have to rely entirely on the public grid? Well, if you rely heavily on public level 3 fast chargers, those big commercial stations you see in grocery store or mall parking lots, your cost skyrockets. You're looking at roughly $15.92 per 100 miles. This right here is the public charging trap. At nearly $16 per 100 miles, that premium cost completely wipes out your fuel savings relative to gasoline. The whole financial logic of the EV breaks down really quickly if you are permanently chained to public fast chargers. You also have to budget for the hidden, upfront, and future costs. To actually get those cheap, efficient home charging rates we just talked about, You usually have to drop between $1,000 to $2,500 to install a level 2 station. That's a dedicated high-voltage wall charger plus the electrician's labor. You're also going to encounter hidden registration taxes, since a lot of states charge higher annual fees for EVs. They do this to make up for the highway funds they're losing out on since you aren't paying gas taxes at the pump. And finally, yes, federal mandates do require manufacturers to cover batteries for 8 years or 100,000 miles. But you really need to anticipate potentially huge battery replacements down the line once that warranty expires. Those can easily run you anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. Let's move on to our next pillar, Section 4, the insurance premium penalty, navigating EV costs. So while EV insurance rates are finally starting to cool off compared to the inflated gas car market, a very real premium penalty still exists. Even with the gap narrowing over the last year, the average electric vehicle is still going to cost you roughly 18 to 42% more to insure than an equivalent internal combustion vehicle. But the great news is we finally know why those rates are dropping. First off, lithium-ion battery packs are just getting cheaper. Since the battery makes up the vast majority of an EV's value, lower replacement costs mean insurance companies don't automatically have to declare your car a total loss after a minor fender bender. Second, legacy automakers like Chevrolet and Ford are really pushing into the mainstream EV space, using standard, easily sourceable parts. That makes them up to 49% cheaper to insure than highly specialized startup models. And finally, actuaries just have better underwriting data now. Years of historic data are actually proving that EVs have fewer collision and property damage claims than gas cars. However, despite all those positive trends, premiums do remain inherently higher for 3 structural reasons. Step 1. Specialized labor. There is a nationwide shortage of mechanics certified to actually work on high-voltage powertrains, which naturally drives up shop rates. Step 2. Sensor overload. EVs are absolutely packed with advanced cameras and radars. A simple bumper scratch can suddenly demand thousands of dollars just in sensor recalibration. And step 3. Weight and damage. Because EVs are so much heavier due to their battery packs, they often cause and sustain much more severe structural damage during a collision.
Okay, we've filtered through the macro savings, the state-by-state infrastructure grids, the realities of the charging trap, and the hard insurance data. Let's bring it all together for Section 5, the final verdict. It's time to make the decision for your driveway.
When you synthesize all of this data, the choice actually becomes incredibly clear. You should strongly consider going electric if you can easily install a home charger, you have a long daily commute where those cheap fuel and maintenance savings will rapidly eat up the higher sticker price, or if you're willing to scoop up a heavily depreciated used EV for an immediate financial payoff. Conversely, you should probably stick to a gas vehicle, or maybe a hybrid, if you live in an apartment and lack overnight home charging, if you frequently take long road trips over 300 miles a day and want to avoid those public fast-charging premiums, or if you simply prefer lower, more predictable insurance payments. All the data, the costs, the hidden fees, and the long-term savings are right here on the table. But the real test isn't just the sticker price of the car, is it? It's the reality of your daily routine and your specific zip code. The EV revolution is undoubtedly here, but is your driveway actually ready for it?